It has been a while since I posted my last video because it was the holidays and I didn't want to do anything. But I did actually make an entire Christmas elf outfit, so, you know, well, doggos. Yeah, so I'll post that eventually. Probably post it before I post this. I don't really know. Yeah, I don't even have it out on the mannequin anymore because it's difficult to get on the mannequin. You don't need to know that. That's not the point of this video. I realized something yesterday. I have a con cruise that I'm going on, right? And I just kept thinking, it's so far away, right? It's so far away. Turns out it's now in less than 30 days. I have to make a minimum of 5 costumes for it, and I haven't made a single one. There is technically 6 costumes going on, but one of those costumes I already own, aka just a pirate. So yeah, this is the first one we're tackling, which is for 60's night. We're gonna make this sucker. I'll pause in case anyone likes the pattern or something. We are going to make it out of this really pretty butterfly fabric. It doesn't have any stretch. Do I know the name of this exact fabric? No. But it's very obvious that the pattern calls for ones that do not stretch, but it's got pretty little butterflies on it. I got it from Joann's before they officially went out of business. I have also ordered some little white applique flowers to do around the neck, and I bought a big high pony thing, and I got me some white go-go boots. So we're gonna make a 60's outfit, and yeah, we're gonna see how this goes. Stay tuned for the other costumes that I'm gonna have to also be working on simultaneously. It's gonna be great, right? Okay. Alright, so we have ironed this. I am not going to video myself ironing stuff. It's a weird thing to show you. You don't want to see that. In any case, so we have ironed it. We are now folding it right sides together. What right side means is the piece, the side of the clothing you want facing out, which would be, the part that should be facing out on these butterflies. The really thick part of the butterflies actually looks like, like it's got stuff in it that really shouldn't be seen, as opposed to the other side. They're very delicate looking. So we're going to use that. Anyways, okay, and we are going to right sides together. We have our patterns. We have ironed our patterns as well. Usually I suggest not cutting out the patterns and instead tracing them on tracing paper, so that you're not possibly ruining them for later. However, this is a 60's design. And in the 60's, they were a lot tinier than we are now. So I have the biggest size of this pattern. So I just went ahead and cut it out because it's still, if I shrink or if I make this for someone that is smaller than me, I still have all the other size lines on here. So we also, and also something to be said, they had different, for like the front facing pieces, they actually, for each size, instead of making one that was a gradient, they just had a different cutout for each size in the package, which I thought was kind of funny. But anyways, we're going to do this. I'm going to lay this down. I'm going to lay down my patterns and we're going to cut it out. I had to get new scissors. Fun fact. Not so fun, actually. It was a horrible thing to discover. You're not supposed to sharpen sewing scissors. And after cutting through a lot of velveteen, my sewing scissors were really not sharp anymore. And I thought, oh man, well, I'll just use the knife sharpener we have in the kitchen. It was a really, really bad idea, guys. It was a really, really bad idea. So I sincerely do not recommend doing that whatsoever. All right, now we have to get these scissors open. My brand new scissors. These are by Ginger. I know I've heard it's a good brand. Anyways, these were in my saved cart because I had bought some really tiny versions of these and loved them. which is what I ended up having to cut most of my stuff off using after I ruined all my other scissors that I now have to throw away. And now I have learned that if you cut rough materials like velveteen and your scissors get dull, just wipe them down with alcohol. Wipe them down with rubbing alcohol, right? All right. So, fun facts for you. Difficult learning lesson for me. Let's lay these patterns out and cut them. Always pay attention to your patterns, guys. If it has one of these on it with these arrows, you're supposed to be putting on a fold. There's also other arrows. Like, this one is like cut on the selvage. Like, the selvage should be parallel to it. And the selvage is like the rough edges of the fabric. Not where they cut it when you bought it, but the rough edges of the fabric. So yeah, just pay attention. Alright, so before we do any stay stitching to prevent stretching, which is kind of just around the curves and stuff, we need to mark our pattern. Just as a side note here, I am using a pen/marker that is meant to be rinsed off with water. Honestly, it kind of like rubbed off if you tried hard enough, like just with like a tissue. But just trying to find a water-soluble marker or one that's specifically meant for marking on cloth. Don't, color things in with a permanent marker or something like that. And if you realize that your markings are definitely not showing up because I was just kind of puncturing holes through this thing, just trace back over them. Also worth noting, maybe make sure your machine is properly threaded before you start. I am Confucius. And here I am just stay stitching around all the edges. It helps with, now this is just a guess, you guys, because I don't quite remember. It just helps with structure. So yeah, take that with a grain of salt. And now we begin the darts, which I am terrified of, which you can tell by all the faces I begin to make while doing the darts. Also, if you're wondering what the darts do, they basically just kind of gather, not necessarily gather, pinch the fabric in places where you probably have curves. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. So after you're done darting it up, you're supposed to stitch the back to the front, the side seams. So, you know, this big old piece goes to this big old piece and this big old piece. And then we're supposed to start on the front facing and back facing. Just realized I don't have any interfacing, which I need, I think four cuts of that. So we're gonna actually listen to Alexa and go to bed because she said 10 p.m. It's now 10:17 p.m. because I gotta go to the gym in the morning and be a functional adult and then work. Anyways, so I'm gonna go do that, go to bed, and then we're gonna do this tomorrow after I go to my favorite fabric store. Shout out Gail K. Here in Atlanta. But okay, see you tomorrow. And now we are fusing the interfacing to the, I don't even know what it's called, the neckline, the inside of the neckline, yeah. Now that we have fused these things together with the fusible interface that I did not realize was fusible and then felt the bumps, now we are going to sew these all together like that. Together. So the two side back pieces and the front. right sides together. Butterfingers. And now we cut notches around the curved parts of the neckline. What this does, to my knowledge, which is not vast and very, very limited, helps with the fabric not bunching up underneath. It gives it, you know, extra flexibility? I don't know, but it does. Alright, so before we, continue, I have just learned what understitching is, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to understitch this, which basically means I'm going to stitch this inside layer to the seams, but not to the front fabric, the one that's actually going to be visible from the outside of the dress. So we're going to do that now. Alright, so it doesn't actually say anything about stitching this part down. So maybe it's not supposed to be stitched down. However, the fabric I used is... It doesn't say anything about stitching this part down, right? So maybe it's just not supposed to be stitched down. I've personally had dresses that did that. But the issue is that this fabric that I used, it kind of requires something else. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut along. I'm going to sew down this way where the seams are, right? So we'll just match up the seams. The understitching is supposed to help it sit, but I'm afraid that is not going to be enough. But in addition to that, I am going to go around the edges with pinking shears, because I think just this type of fabric likes to fray really easily. So I think it's just a good idea to keep it from fraying any further. The other alternative would be to basically zigzag stitch it, since I do not have a serger for edges. And I don't want to. And maybe I will if this doesn't work, but we're going to try pinking shears first. This is me sewing the zipper. I think some of my camera, just stopped working at one point, and so when I was talking to the camera, there was nothing, getting recorded. So, but yeah, I did an invisible zipper. Side note, hate those, but sometimes it must be done.
Worst part of this is, I thought I was so in at the times.
The zipper has been
done.
done.
Saying that I wasn't gonna get it. I was trying to be humble, but I was so
I'm not going to unzip it before.
I was already picturing myself working there, just chatting up Bill Keller in the elevator and running down the street from a quick lunch with Maureen Dow and filing my first story and
my
seeing my
existence.
first byline. I don't know.
I haven't decided what to sew. Also, I did the
And now I have
pinking.
to tell everyone that I didn't get it, and I don't want to.
On
Just
it.
tell
Hopefully
Grandma
that
and
keeps it
Grandpa.
from
Made me
further
feel ashamed and humiliated all over
to
again.
reading.
Which is why I didn't tell
Alright,
you, and I'm
time
sorry
to do
I didn't
straps.
tell you.
I know I look really fabulous right now. And I know I'd probably film way too many videos after I've taken a shower. we are now going to pin the straps that are now sewn. Oh, so sewn poorly. Didn't really do a great job of keeping it straight. However, I don't really care because I am going to be covering both straps and the neckline in a floral applique, I guess would be the better word. Fringe applique? I don't know. You'll see. Just because it makes it even more 60s. Flower power, you know. So, anyways, let's do this. Alright, so 5 inches. We must take it in 5 more inches than what it is. Like I said, my shoulders, they're not great. They are very slopey shoulders. In any case, I also had to unpin one as I took it off because, you know, I was getting stabbed. Okay. So after measuring the exact amount that I needed to come off on both sides, of course, I then went and made sure that the other one matched up. Another thing that got cut out was me hand sewing in this eyelet loop thing to clip the top because I did not fully get the zipper in the right place, but also I would have installed that anyway because zippers come down. Excuse me, but I need that. Alright, I suppose I can do it later. Excuse me. I need this. I need to work on this. I'm so sorry. You're so lovely. But this isn't really a bed. You know, I want to respect your space, but you're sitting on my project. What if I gave you cuddles? Some loving? Come on. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah, okay. How about we go get out and how about we get in this bowl? Yeah? This bowl seems great. Yeah. Oh yeah. Wow, it's so warm. Alright, so we have attached it all the way around the edges, as you can see. Is it perfect? No. Do I care? Also no. Alright, so get that done. When I tried on the dress, it was very obvious that it was too long, even without being hemmed, because obviously these are the rough edges. So we are going to trim both the front and the back by basically the entire width of this. Then we're going to retry it on, see if that's cool. If not, we'll then take a little bit more inch until we feel like it is. I think I'm going to just do like I'd like to do an inch of hem. I think what I'd like to do is do hem where I sew it like this, and then I sew it under, maybe. I just feel like it's going to do a bit better as far as unraveling. I am going to use my pinking shears when I cut this time, just because we want to try to stop the raveling, and it kind of seems like when I did that on these ends, it definitely stopped it. So one day maybe I'll afford a serger. One day maybe. Something to note here that while I am cutting off the excess fabric on the end of the dress, I did go back and sew up a secondary layer where I thought the dress might end on the different seams, because I know that where I locked the seams before was going to be cut off. So just make sure you lock your seams or relock them by back stitching. Alright, so we will try this on again, and we will see how we feel about it. Then we will hem the bottom. I'll probably not be trying it on today because I'm a woman away, and this is a very light purple, and I'm very paranoid. Too paranoid for these things. But anyways, try this on again. When the boots arrive, just because I think the length might also, like where I want it to land, might also depend on like where the boots land. So I'm going to wait on that and do that then. And then at that point I will kind of show that, and then you'll get to see the full shebang. Yay. I'm probably not going to do a makeup tutorial for this because this doesn't seem like it's necessary. So yeah, unless everyone really loves my twiggy look. But I'm sure there are many other twiggy makeup tutorials out there, and I don't think that's something I need to publish. So see you in a bit. So I definitely thought you could hear me while I was doing all of this, but I obviously am not holding a microphone, so you can't hear me at all. I'm just explaining that I am going to have to take it in on the sides and on the bottom again, because it is still too long and a little bit too big around the chest area, even though I did take measurements before. two different sides together and drawing. Once again, I'm just trying to make this garment as even as possible, even when taking it in. So I thought this was going to help me, but I still don't know how to use these things. And we are finally at the right length and creating the hemline, which confused me to no end even while reading the directions. So yeah, I kind of, I did what I think might have been a slip stitch by hand. Just look at that. Okay, so final look at the dress. This is my makeup. I look a little crazy, but they did their things a little bit crazy in the 60s anyway, so. So to look at the dress, it's good, right? I had to obviously take it in on the sides, and it is short. I am wearing opaque pantyhose. They did like to do some colored pantyhose, you know, back in the day. This is not my real hair. I do have long hair, but not this long. This is like touching your calves when it's down long. It is a little bit short in the back, but again, I was wearing opaque pantyhose. The cruise is actually already come and gone. I just did not get a video of this when I was wearing it, so. Twiggy eyes are really throwing me. But anyways, yeah, here you go. And that's your tutorial. Or, I don't know if you call this tutorial. This is your look at if you want to make a 60s dress for your decade day. Wear a high pony and a heck of a lot of makeup with a lot of white in it. I keep looking at the wrong end because I flip-flopped my thing around. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day. I have other videos that are coming out. I've made all of it. I mean, like, I have made all of it. I've made all the things. Whether or not I get them out on a week-by-week basis is another question entirely, but, you know.